So in these two sets of slides, I've been trying to explain how it's through a Windows browser or an Internet Explorer browser that you can get access to the configuration tools on RtBaseline Services. Again, here, RtBaseline Services is it's the central repository for configuring these different types of data sources and then making them available to everybody on the web. Well, the place where we do this is the RtBaseline administration page. Now you'll find it in at this location. It's the name of your server /RtBaseline/admin. Now I would suggest that you also add this /admin_sp.aspx. I just suggest you do that because there have been over the years different variations, or different versions of the different components. Some of them were not quite as good at handling the defaults as others. So depending on what vintage you have, you may have, if you try this without this appended at the end, you should try it with the admin_sp.aspx at the end. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to go out to my web server, and as I said, let's go with HTTP, the name of my server, and it's called RtBaseline/admin. Now, like I said, I would suggest that you also add the /admin_sp.aspx. Now that brings up this page on which, well, this is where we our main entry point into the configuration of those things that are stored server side in RT Web Parts. So this is where we configure Pi servers. This is where we configure relational databases. This is where we configure web services. All those different templates that I mentioned, the table configuration template, a trend configuration template that we haven't looked at yet. These different things are made available through this user interface. And in the coming slides, we're going to go one by one through each of these to take a look at how those elements are configured. I'd like to now take a look at the RtBaseline Services administration page. It's on this page that you identify to RT Web Parts the different sources of data you're trying to retrieve. Now, this can be very simple, and it also gets complex at some points, but very simply, we need to know things like we need to know what server you're getting your data from. So, for example, that would be where we configure the connection to a Pi server. And for probably a lot of customers, that's all they're ever going to have to worry about on this particular page. But if you are going out and getting data from relational databases, you need to specify which database, the name of the database and the type of database you're retrieving data from. So you would do that underneath this section, Data Sources. It would be under Maintain Relational Database Connections. And then in addition, there is a web service capability within RT Web Parts. We can go out and fetch data from websites that are publishing data through web services. And if you're going to do that, again, an ambitious undertaking, most customers are probably not going to be doing that straight out of the box, then you would configure a pointer to that particular web service, that particular web page, and a specific file, a WSDL file within that web page. The page is available through this URL right here. That URL is basically the name of your server /RtBaseline/admin, and then this admin_sp.aspx. But technically, generally, if you omit that, then it'll default to that page. So let's go back to the actual page here. From within this administration page, as I said, we configure data sources. That points us in general to these things: the Pi servers, the relational databases, and the web services. Now, if you are, let's just say, for example, we're configuring a relational database data source. Once you've done that, you're not finished, because now you have to specify the data set within that data source, and that you do in this Datasets section. Likewise, if you configure a web service, or if you want to configure a web service, you point yourself to that web service here, but then within web service datasets we specify what particular published information we're interested in within that particular web service. Because of course a web service, a website may publish lots of different information. We need something to narrow it down. So here are the data sets we can configure. These go with the Pi data source, the calculation datasets. We'll look more at those in a little bit. And of course this goes with the relational database and the web service. Now there's another data set called a tag list configuration that can be used with some of our other web parts. We'll talk more about that later on. Let's look at a calculation data set. This would be where we would calculate either summary data, like it's kind of choosing hourly averages or daily averages or totalizations or standard deviations, some summary information like that. Or we could actually use an expression that uses our performance equation syntax. That would be a lot more flexible. So those are the two different types. Now either of those types is going to require that you have the right security. We actually do store these data sets in the module database, so anybody who's going to do this is going to need write access to the module database to do that.